Hello, I'm Philip Stoten. I'm here at Apex 2018. I'm joined by two gentlemen to talk about pricing and the requirements for quoting in the EMS sector. I am joined from CalcuQuote by David.
Hi.
And from Elliot from Sumitronics. Elliot, let me start with you as a contract manufacturer. How important is it to get the quote right and get it out on time? I hear a lot of frustration from both the EMS side and the OEM side on the topic of getting pricing right.
Yeah, sure. So getting quoting out correctly and quickly is extremely important. OEMs require quotes within 2 weeks or less, and they want it accurate the first time because they're trying to make sourcing decisions. So it's incumbent on us to try and get the best quote out we can to win the business.
Yeah.
And so it's a challenge.
And what are the challenges? What are the roadblocks to getting that quote right?
The most common roadblock that we face is getting responses from the component manufacturers, or if we're going through distribution, those particular part numbers, them researching what the right price should be for that part.
Yeah, and is that their inefficiency or because they're quoting every other contract manufacturer for the same project?
Well, if they were, they would have the price and everybody would have it. I think it's the nature of the beast is that they made a cumbersome system that the tier one who designed a product, or because the car companies don't. So tier one designed a product and they worked with the application engineers from those different manufacturers. They have pricing that was designed in. They get that pricing for that program. So if you go to that manufacturer, you go to distribution, they have to now research through their systems to find that guaranteed price design, for that product. It takes them time. They're working on millions of quotes. And it's just the system is just bogged down with that.
Yeah, and it's cumbersome. David, from your point of view, you're talking to lots of manufacturers, being asked lots of questions. Is it the same story everywhere, or are there lots of different challenges?
I would say it's a similar challenge as what Elliot described. It seems like contract manufacturers, and I work exclusively with high-mix, low to medium volume manufacturing. They have a very similar challenge to what Elliot described in that the OEMs, ODMs, regardless if it's an MPI prototype assembly or higher production assembly, they want quotes faster. And so you have this question, well, do I respond to them with a less accurate price? And I don't even mean just from a component standpoint, I mean from a labor standpoint and what my assembly costs are. Do I respond to them with a price that could potentially make me less competitive or less profitable? Or do I really put pen to paper and figure out what the best price is going to be, the best price from not just a competitiveness standpoint, but again, profitability is key here. So it seems like across the supply chain, the OEMs have the issue that they want a faster response. The contract manufacturers are kind of the monkey in the middle from between the component manufacturers and the distributors, who also are seeing, as Elliot described, the same bombs from 5 different people. And I'd like to say they could take that information and copy it over, but it doesn't seem to be the case, because maybe it's a different rep working on one CM's bomb, and the quote team that's working offshore is just seeing the bomb from 2 different sources. So it's a very hairy situation.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Elliot, just to clarify, is it all about the bomb, or is part of the challenge getting your costs evaluated, or is that something you've got pretty much tied down internally?
Yeah, our internal costs we can do rather quickly. Go through, look at it, and come up with a process flow and how much labor is involved, and we can get pretty accurate. Obviously, until you made one, you don't really know for sure, but we can get real close, really fast. We always wind up waiting for the. Yeah, and if the product, say, is designed in Detroit, and then it gets quoted here in San Diego because I'm here, right? So, and say I go to Arrow as an example, or Avnet, and maybe they were involved back in Detroit. Well, the people here don't know that, so they have to go through their system to go back. Okay, what should the pricing be? I mean, I can go to any of the major distributors and give them a bomb and say, give me a quote in 24 hours. and I'll get one. It's not what it's going to cost me at the end of the day. So it's only good for the engineering department to go back to their sales team and say, well, here's an estimate and it's safe to go with because we know it's high. Yeah. But other than that, it's this 2-week struggle if you're lucky.
And it's the first proof point with your clients. So being timely and being accurate is important in the way the customer perceives you, correct?
Yeah, I think timely is a real issue.
Yeah.
So I've been beat up numerous times for, where's my quote? Where's my quote? You've had it for over 2 weeks. I said, I'm still missing some pricing.
Yeah.
So I can give it to them, sans that pricing.
Yeah.
And I just put it in the, in the quote that way.
So, David, from your point of view, clearly a problem there. People need timely quotes. They need accurate quotes. Mm-hmm. What kind of solutions are there out there, without talking too much about specific products?
Right.
What are the strategies that people need to deploy to get a better result?
Well, this answer is 2 parts. Part 1 is process. The second part is tools. Why is process important? Well, I think you need to know, as a contract manufacturer, when you get a new opportunity from a customer, who touches that opportunity before you publish a quote and send it back to the customer. So what happens if it's a repeat assembly versus a new assembly you've never seen before? What happens if it's a prototype versus a production job? Do you have a workflow in place? Do you have a purchasing department that is going to go to supply chain for quotes in certain scenarios, or do you have program managers who will go online and find pricing because it's an MPI? If you have those kinds of processes and workflows, at least you know who touches the quote at each stage. And I'm surprised sometimes that customers don't have that. Larger companies sometimes don't have a very good process in place. But if you diagram that out, or at least mentally have an image of who does what, that's a help to start with. But as far as tools go, I think you're seeing the supply chain, different parts of the supply chain, move in the right direction. In that there are different softwares, there are different websites and things that are free and available to use that help you at least know who carries parts, what maybe they have on hand, what the pricing is, etc. Might not always be the best price though, which is the challenge. So it's really going to be a kind of a give and take relationship. Both sides, I think, are going to have to invest in either billing software or buying something, meaning that the distributors and manufacturers of components are going to have to build something that allows their customers to get information really quickly. Yeah. And I think they're moving that direction. My company has personally experienced this. Separately, the CMs are going to have to make some investment in those tools as well, because they're not right for the taking. You've got to make a decision that that's what you want to do. You want to offer fast quotes as a service to your customers.
Yeah, I think that's really important to understand where the value add is, but to get the process and to get the tools right. From your point of view, Elliot, are you surprised in this world of Internet of Things, where we talk about everything connected and instant information, fast information at our fingertips, how cumbersome this process still is, and how many people seem to have to touch a quotation process for it to come together?
Yeah, it's not what I call instant gratification that we've come accustomed to. So, like was being said, you can get pricing. It's just, is this the right pricing for this project? You don't know that. And that's the challenge. I need to be competitive. I need to get this back quickly. I need to make sure I'm getting the right price. We do ourselves. We've created our own database of everything we buy. So if that shows up on a new quote, we have the price we're buying it at. So at least we're in the ballpark. But maybe that covers 70% of the BOM, instead of the 30% of all those new unique parts, a lot of active parts. You can have $20 parts that are going to cost $7 for this project. You need to know that. So the DigiKey price, the Mauser price, they're great for building a prototype. We don't care, we're buying 10 pieces. But when we're quoting buying millions of parts, we need to know we have that price that's competitive. So and that's what takes the time, and that's what's really frustrating. And today, with part shortages and every place you go, people are working overtime trying to figure out where they're going to get parts, and then you want them to work on your pricing also. So everybody's kind of being pulled in two directions at once.
It's very strained on that, and it is part of the integration of the supply chain. It's not just getting the price and the quantity, it's about availability as well. Do you see more and more people coming to people like you for tools, for solutions, or are most people still trying to figure it out, in spreadsheets or whatever, all on their own?
Yes, the demand for a faster solution has certainly increased, and I've noticed that even just in the past 2 months since the start of 2018. I'll say that the previous solution, the Excel-based models, are getting more and more cumbersome, and more executives at EMS companies are recognizing this is not a scalable model. I'm not going to be able to use this to grow my business. If you have a great relationship with customers, and those customers aren't necessarily asking you for faster quotes, then it might not be as big of a problem, but the trend has been for faster and faster. And I mean that not just in electronics, but across verticals. It's something that every industry, it seems like, is asking for faster and faster supply chain. Of course, it has its complications, but there's some very smart people that work in electronics, and I'm confident that this industry will find innovative ways to move forward and make the supply chain so much leaner.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. If we're buying a flight or we're buying something online, we don't wait 2 weeks. It's a 5-minute shopping experience. So that really needs to change, doesn't it, Elliot?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, our expectations today are
instant gratification.
Instant gratification. And in this industry, doing quoting is not what you'd call instant gratification.
Yeah.
And it's become, it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
And, if there are tools out there that can make that process easier, that's great.
Yeah.
It's just it's getting the data into the tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Manipulating the data once you have all your inputs, that helps you get it out faster.
Yeah. But you still got to get the price from the vendor.
Yeah,
they've still got to do that.
You got to get the inputs.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing about having those tools is you're not dependent on that one person who's a genius with the spreadsheets and can make everything happen. On their day off, it still gets done as well. Guys, thanks very much for talking to me. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
All right, thank you.